to come in this week.
You did remember to come in
That's
this
pretty
week.
good.
Yeah.
I'm
Did
pr-
you
I'm
watch
pretty-
last week's show?
No. Who was on?
Well, I was on.
That's a shocker.
Victoria Sullivan and Lisa Freeman, and
Did she actually?
They may or may not have called you names or something. I don't know.
No, you guys would never do that. That's not that. It doesn't seem credible. So anyway, yeah. Thank you for Lisa and Victoria for coming on last week. My stomach was all, my headache. I had a wicked headache. I don't know what the heck was going on. I was walking through Hannaford's before the show, because I was all ready to go, and then I just started getting dizzy, like I was gonna collapse, and I said, I think I'll bow out.
Sounds like Joe Biden.
Yeah, I know. I felt like Joe Biden for a minute. I didn't know where I was. I didn't know what day it was, what I was running for. Am I running for Senate? That's you know the feeling.
Yeah.
So I went to the Trump rally Sunday, and that was pretty great.
Yeah. Yeah, you know what was pretty great is just Trump's his energy.
Oh yeah,
right? He does that rally and then decides last minute, what the heck? I'm going to fly up to Bangor and do another one.
He went to Bangor?
As soon as he left you guys, Air Force One went up to Bangor unannounced, right? And he took the limo out to an apple orchard over by my dad's house.
Yeah?
My dad went out and met 3,000 people showed up to an unannounced rally.
Wow.
To an apple orchard in the middle of nowhere, Maine.
That is pretty
Maine.
Amazing.
Yep.
Yeah,
and then he's done 3 a day since.
Yeah, I know. He's like the Energizer Bunny. It is absolutely amazing. It was really fun. We had it was at the airport in Manchester. It was actually Londonderry, but it was in Manchester Airport, and I don't know how many thousands of people were there, in the regular seating. Then there was thousands of people who couldn't make it in. Mm-hmm. Because I volunteered as a usher kind of, and it was just really really great. A lot of excitement. Basically it was exactly like a Biden rally, except they had people.
Yeah.
Same thing, really.
Well, like I said, the one up in Levant, Maine, unannounced, last minute. People found out about it about 10 o'clock in the morning.
Right.
That he was planning to leave New Hampshire and go up there. So, at 10 o'clock in the morning, from there until 2:30, 3,000 people showed up.
That's
at an unannounced rally.
Well, the rally in Manchester was
versus Joe Biden yesterday. He had the biggest rally of his season, and it was 45 people in circles.
In circles, yeah, I saw that. I'd make some joke, but I won't, because people might be watching. So, there's also a lot of stuff you're not hearing about. For instance, they had a boat rally up at Winnipesaukee this summer, and I'm sure you didn't hear about that.
Yeah, no, well, I've heard about it.
Yeah, and then there's all these automobile rallies where they get thousands of cars driving along. New York was really horrible yesterday, because I did one in New York, and it was a lot of the I think Orthodox Jews for Trump, because they're really upset because of the attack on freedom of religion right now. Mm-hmm. Okay. And so, in case you guys don't know, you're supposed to have freedom of religion is almost absolute, except during COVID for some reason, and a lot of the governors are restricting churches. What people may not realize is that when the governor or any governor restricts access to churches, you also shut down all the 12-step self-help groups. So all the AA meetings, NA meetings, almost all of them are in church basements. So all the people that were working on themselves and trying to get help and going through recovery got shut down because of an overreaction to COVID-19. Your suicide rate's gone through the roof. We've lost 400 people in the state of New Hampshire. I am willing to bet we've lost a hell of a lot more than that to suicide and drug overdoses.
Yeah, and it's one of those things that we've been We've been talking about it from the very beginning.
I
As
know.
soon as we're talking March, April, we've been
Yes.
talking about the mental health cost of this shutdown.
Yep.
But it's real, right? And the fact that you're shutting down churches in these states, churches, synagogues, etc., is a problem.
People,
and in New York specifically, the Jews were targeted specifically by the governor.
Right. Yep.
It wasn't just everybody. It was the governor. I don't remember what the statement was, but he made a statement specifically about the Orthodox Jews.
Yeah, we went to somebody went to the pastor at my church and explained to them that the pastor said, COVID is reasonably, especially at the beginning, it was considered very deadly, right? We know that that's not true anymore, but at the beginning it was unsure. They said that, told the Pastor Mark that COVID may be deadly, but what is extremely deadly is relapse for a drug addict or an alcoholic. And so he allowed, since March, meetings in our church, in Goffstown Congregational.
Yep.
So there's a lot of brave pastors out there that are trying to do the right thing in spite of the state trying to shut them down.
Yeah, and we're not getting the good news about COVID. None of the good news is ever being reported. So, for instance, there's been a huge spike in cases in France in the last couple of weeks.
Yeah.
But the mortality rate has gone down by 82%. So just because people are being tested positive does not mean that people are dying at all.
So you have to understand, I hope you understand what's really going on right now. Right now, political entities, including the press, are using COVID-19 as a cudgel to beat the heck out of Donald Trump, even though he's actually responded to it very well and has left most of the response up to the individual states to do what they want, which as the president is what he's supposed to do under the Constitution. He's not supposed to take control of the entire country and force everybody to wear a mask, because that's stupid. Because somebody who lives in Wyoming that doesn't have, a neighbor for 200 miles doesn't need to wear a mask when they're outside walking their dog. That's just ignorant. So he left it up to the states to decide what is best for their individual citizens. So that's what most of this is about. The way they're abusing the statistics is, if you listen to WMUR or any news agency, they will always tell you right now the total number of cases and deaths, right? The reason they do that is because if they told you the rate at which people were how many people were getting it versus how many people were actually succumbing to it, that ratio has changed absolutely dramatically. The peak of the death rate was in late April, not today.
And that is exactly what we were told in March. So here in New Hampshire, I believe the shutdown was somewhere around March 15th or so. It was the middle of March.
Yep.
And there's a phrase that we're not hearing anywhere mentioned in the media and politics, but there's a phrase that was really huge in March. Do you remember what that phrase was?
No.
That we were all saying time and time again?
What was that?
The phrase was flatten the curve.
Right. Oh, yes.
When was the last time you heard that phrase?
They don't use it anymore because
You
the
know
curve
why?
is
The curve has been flattened
for a
but
long
But they're not
time.
lifting anything. We did what we were supposed to do, right? The key was, we're going to shut down for 2 weeks to flatten the curve. Well, welcome to your 8-month anniversary of 2 weeks to flatten the curve.
Did we get a call?
Good evening. This is Rock, Paper, Hand Grenades. You're live.
Yes, I agree with you 150%. I think myself, if Joe Biden gets voted in, this whole coronavirus thing will all of a sudden magically disappear.
It'll be a miracle.
Yeah, he will have saved us all.
Yes, it will completely. This is against Trump I've never seen such evilness in my life. Just like with Ted Cruz today, with Jack Dorsey from Twitter. I mean, if you notice, the only station that's ever mentioning about Hunter Biden, Jim Biden, and the whole crap that went on with Bob Alinsky, it's the only station is Fox.
That's
it. He never gets asked a question. Anytime that the reporters are there, they never ask him about.
Well, they do ask him. They ask him some pretty tough questions about what kind of ice cream he's eating. So
what kind of ice cream he has, yeah. But I've never seen anything like it in my life. The View, CNN. You know, we went through this crap with the Russian thing for almost 4 years now. Adam Schiff lying out through his butt and his mouth. It's truly, truly unbelievable. I've never seen such evilness in my life, and I go back all the way back to Eisenhower.
Wow.
When I was a kid, I remember Eisenhower a kid. I saw Kennedy at the Manchester Public Library across the street at Victory Park. I actually shook, after Kennedy was assassinated, I actually shook Lyndon Johnson's hand in front of the Carpenter Motor Hotel. I was 11 years old. I snuck through the crowd, and there was this tall guy, I think he was around 6'4", with that Stetson hat on, and I got in up amongst the people, and he grabbed my hand, and his hand swallowed mine. He was a really big guy.
Yeah.
But you know, I really believe that all the politicians of yesterday, if they could only see what's going on right now, the dead ones, they would be rolling over in their graves.
Absolutely.
This is really far left, communist, socialism. That if Biden takes over, all hell, I believe there's going to be a civil war like you see in the Middle East. I really believe that the people on the right that have been stepping back, and they're afraid even to say what's going on with the polls because they don't want if they say I'm going to vote for Trump, they're afraid somebody's going to come to their house and burn their house down.
They get fired for it. People are getting fired for supporting Trump.
I'm going to disagree with you there. See, if Biden wins, God forbid, I don't think you're going to see the civil war that we're talking about. I think the Democrats want you to think that. But I'm a Republican through and through. But what I'm thinking about is why I say it's going to be a civil war is you're going to have Beto O'Rourke out there trying to take your guns. They're going to be doing all the crazy Ocasio-Cortez, Bernie Sanders. They're going to try to get in with with Biden. I don't believe that Biden will make it through 4 years. He just doesn't have the stamina. He's not going to make it through 4 weeks.
He's not strong enough. Can you imagine now if Kamala Harris got in?
That's exactly what's going to happen. So Kamala's going to take over
within
a month or so.
War.
But there won't be a civil war because what will happen is they'll start doing all of those things, and they'll start writing those laws, and they'll start coming after our guns, and they'll start doing that. But the fact is that us as conservatives, we value life over anything else.
Yeah, but let me ask you this.
And it's going to take an awful lot for any of us to actually level a gun at somebody rather than giving it up.
Let me ask you this, sir.
It's going to be the most. That's what's going to happen.
If somebody's going to let me ask you this question then. If the left something gets voted down, and they're going to come out and take your guns. Let me ask you this, a blunt question: are you going to stand in your doorway and let somebody come in and say, "Give me your gun now, or I'm going to arrest you"? What would you do?
Well, see, that's why I'm saying, the conservatives like us are going to value life over anything else.
Okay, so you're going to.
But wait. Let me finish.
What you just told me.
No, let me finish.
Okay, what you just told me. Okay, but what you just told me was you value life.
Right.
So our forefathers who died for our Second Amendment.
Again,
we're going to just if they say to you, I want your gun right now. You say we value life, and we're going to hand the gun over. That's what you're saying.
I guess that's what I'm saying, but you got to let me finish, right? Conservatives are not going to start it, right? It's going to be a lot of door-to-door gun collecting before one of us actually starts shooting, because a lot of folks are going to roll over. We're not the ones who are prone to going out into the streets and looting and rioting and setting fires.
Here's a difference.
If there's going to be a sudden surge in violence, it's going to be if Trump wins. The other side is going to throw a fit, and they're the ones that are going to start that violence and start that civil war, and it's going to start hard and fast.
No, I agree.
It's going to start hard and fast, but we're not organized enough, and we're not of the type. We'd rather be left alone. We're of the leave us alone
150%
and let it
with
go.
You. That's not what I'm saying. If Trump wins, the left's going to go crazy. But what happens, what I'm saying is, if the other side wins, like, they're going to come after your guns.
Yes, and we absolutely know that. But what I'm saying is that move to an actual, live firing civil war is going to be a much slower progression, because we as conservatives are not prone to start it. As long as you leave us alone, you can write all the laws you want. As long as you don't go door to door, then just leave us alone, and we're going to be quietly sitting there waiting for the next president.
Okay, let me ask you this: Do you remember what Biden said in an interview? They asked him, "Are you going to be taking their guns?" And he goes, "Bingo." What did Beto O'Rourke say? Beto O'Rourke said, "Sure, I'm going to take their AR-15s. I'm going to take their AK-47."
So did Harris, though.
I have no doubt.
Hey, we got to let you go, brother.
Happen, but like I said,
okay.
it's just the progression
I
to the shooting war is going to be slower.
I agree with you guys 100%.
All right, take care.
Bye.
Well, I'd like to respond to it a little bit before we move on, because I want to cover something else before Carly gets here.
Yeah, I apologize, folks. We did have a guest who has not shown
That's all right.
up. So,
but anyway, so I'm going to confess something. I know enough about human nature, or probably too much, and I know enough about my own shortfallings, so that when I ran for office in 2000. One of the primary reasons I ran was I saw a day where somebody like a Kamala Harris would be president and they would come after my guns. And I don't know if, as a Christian, if some 24-year-old cop comes to my door and demands my firearms, could I level my gun and shoot him to defend my rights, knowing that he has a wife and 2 kids at home? Could I do that? I don't know that I could. So the reason I ran for office was so that it would, hopefully, that I could do my part to make sure that day never comes.
Gets here. Yeah.
Obviously, I'm only one cog in the wheel, but
that's all I was trying to say was that is that we as law-abiding, God-fearing conservatives, we're not going to start that war.
I don't think it's going to work like that.
Unless it comes, I mean, it's got to be a very severe situation to bring us all to it. No,
it's going to be. What it's going to be is my belief, because if you look at the big picture right now, they've shut down, and in case you didn't know, they've completely shut down National Propaganda Radio, MSNBC, CBS, CNN, ABC, all the major news media, Facebook, Twitter. They've already shut down access to information for most of the voters in the United States of America. They are deliberately warping the news right now to get you to vote for Biden because, I mean, if you look just at the last 3 years, 98% of the news about Donald Trump has been negative. Okay, so if you just think of that rationally, that's not possible. I mean, the guy's had so many peace treaties, shut down the
another one this week.
He had another one this week. the illegal aliens coming over the borders down 95%. And if you remember just a few years ago, there was caravans of people coming over the border. So he is the first presidential candidate and president that's actually followed through with what he said he was going to do. Because when I voted for him last time, I voted for him because I knew what a horror show Hillary Clinton was, not because I believed him. Now I believe him. He actually followed through, but because the press is so bought and paid for, that 98% of the information you're getting right now is negative against Trump because they're trying to get him out. The news media is bought and paid for. The best example is in the last week or so. So Hunter Biden's laptop was captured, right?
Not captured.
Okay, let me just. Okay. Anyway, Hunter Biden
obtained legally.
It was obtained legally. Hunter Biden left his laptop at a repair place, and the rules are, if you, Carla's with us. Carla, you're awesome. So let me finish my thought. So he leaves it there. Last year, probably around this time, the rule was for the shop. Hunter Biden, they have a copy of his signature signing the document that if he leaves it for over 90 days, it becomes in possession of the shop. The shop, the guy, once it was his, he looked at it and found some really horrible things. So he called and called the FBI and turned the laptop over to the FBI, but was smart enough to copy it. So that came out a few weeks ago because there's a lot of evidence to prove that Joe Biden was part of a group of people, his family, that had money coming over from Ukraine, China, Russia, all these different countries into the family, and then money would be sifted back over to Joe Biden. That's what the thing is. And so now you start up with where Adam Schiff comes into the picture.
So the laptop, again, obtained legally. It is legally the possession of the repair shop owner. He's turned it over because he's found evidence of crime on it. And
really horrible
the
stuff,
FBI has sat on it since December of last year. So after enough of sitting on it, he decides, okay, I'm going to let this go. We're gonna see what happens, and so the contents of the laptop comes out. It's very damning to the Biden family. It includes photographs of minors and a naked Hunter Biden, Joe Biden's son, with those minors. It's a lot of disgusting criminal activity in addition to the selling out of White House access. The first reaction from the
Shifty Shift.
DNC apologists, including Adam Schiff, was to come out and say, "Oh, this laptop is nothing but Russian disinformation. Russian disinformation."
Russia did it again.
Well,
Putin power.
By claiming that this laptop is Russian disinformation, that effectively accuses those people who were included on those emails, those people who were part of that Biden family scam, money scam and money laundering scam. It effectively accuses them of being traitors, of traitorous actions. And one of those people who was included on all of those transactions was Tony Bobulinski, who was interviewed last night on the Tucker Carlson show.
Look it up. It's a really good interview.
Tony Bobulinski is a Democrat. Tony Bobulinski has access or had access to all of the monetary transactions taking place within the Biden family. But because Adam Schiff came out on the record and accused Tony Bobulinski of being part of a Russian disinformation campaign, one thing Tony Bobulinski is not a traitor. He's a former naval officer, and he basically told the Biden family, make Adam Schiff retract that statement or I'm going public because I will not be accused of being a traitor. And had Adam Schiff simply swallowed his pride and taken back what he said and shut his mouth, Bablinski would never have come out with it. But you've got this whole Russia narrative that the Democrats want to continue, and Adam Schiff refused to retract his statement. Guess what? It's your own damn fault. It's out. Bablinski is not going to be branded a traitor. That's why we're in the position we're in now. Is because we've got the media who will not report the news. We've got an FBI that will not prosecute crimes. And we have a Democrat National Committee and Democrat legislature who insists on making things up in order to cover their tracks.
Yep.
So here we are.
That's basically it. We are very close and on the verge of losing our republic. If you don't get that, you're not paying attention. Carla, on that note.
Hey, I'm here to save the republic. Yay!
Carla, help us all.
Well, I don't know about that, but you know what they say, a republic if you could keep it.
Absolutely,
So,
absolutely.
yeah, thanks for having me on the show. I had to sneak in because I got your message. You said someone was late. I was like, well, I'm here. I'll come in.
Aww. Bailing us out.
Yeah.
We had nothing to talk about. We're just sitting here.
We had plenty.
I'm sure you guys always have a lot to talk about. But on that note, I actually watched a documentary last night called The Plot Against the President. I think it's on Amazon. It might have been Netflix. And it was really interesting. No way
Jeff Bezos allowed something like that on his network.
I mean, it's so interesting to see, when I always try and follow sort of the propaganda psyops, things. Like one of the things I was thinking is I was like, I wonder if that new Borat movie came out now that has that scene with Giuliani, who apparently it's an actress. She's well into her 20s. She's pretending to be someone younger, i.e. there was no actual crime, etc., etc. And I was like, gee, if I was doing a misinformation campaign and I didn't want anything to bubble up about my possible, pedophiliac-y, cabals on one hand.
It's interesting that they chose that particular subject just as Hunter's pictures come out.
Just as it happened, right?
That was a coincidence. I don't know what you guys are talking about.
And then the other thing that it really struck me when I was watching this movie last night, I just, I'll watch any documentary because
I love documentaries.
And I prefer that it's, not actually someone with an agenda. For some people could just present the facts these days, that would be helpful for the rest of us.
Let me know when you find one.
That used to be the media's job, but the fourth estate has let us down. But in this documentary, that it's all about that Russia play. And I remember in 2016 when I heard that Hunter Biden was working for a Ukrainian gas company of some sort where he only served on the board, but he was making $50,000 a month to serve on some Ukrainian board. When I read that, I used to be a corporate lawyer. I was like, okay, something here is so dirty and fishy, I can't even.
Well, that's actually why I do have an announcement to make. It's great news for me, but it's probably bad news for you. I am voting for Joe Biden next week.
Oh, no, why?
He has promised,
pray tell,
that if he wins, that he's going to treat all Americans as family. And I'm really looking forward to a $50,000 a month job.
That is a good point.
I have principles. I have, my conservative values, but I can't give up $50,000.
No, I know. Everybody's got a price.
I mean, that's the thing, right? I mean, it's always follow the money. And so, and I'm not saying anyone is unscrupulous in politics for the most part, right? Everyone's doing something, but
wait.
But the entrenched except Gary.
Right. Okay,
yes. Except Gary and except Carla when she's in the Senate too.
Right. Except Carla.
I mean, it is sort of liberating to be like, I'm not bought and paid for by anyone. Like I had to go through that list in my head, and I was like, oh, you know what? It's kind of awesome when all your donations are small, when you're just doing it literally for the people, not for anyone else.
Right.
It's
I actually get I have to fill out. I got to get it done tomorrow. So I got $1,000 in donations, and I spent $950 something in campaign stuff.
Nice.
So it's all, I didn't spend a nickel of my own, a lot of time, nickel of my own money, and so.
Yeah, I haven't spent any of my own money. I mean, my Senate race in terms of the David Goliath struggle is, of course, massive. Lou D'Alessandro had $500,000 when we started. I've raised about $30,000. I've spent every red cent. I am,
Nice.
I mean, I'm doing everything that I was told to do. I'm trying really hard. I'm in it to win it. So people have to come out and.
I know.
I think they're gonna. I
don't
think
think
people
it-
know me
I-
better now, and
I think, well, it's not just vote for you, because
Well,
I love
it's
you.
this show. It has
No,
to be this show.
It is, yeah, absolutely, yeah. But I think people have to understand what's really going on. If they really understand what's going on, Lou D'Alessandro's a nice guy, but you can't vote for a Democrat.
he voted for the income tax twice now. So, if we want an
Yeah, but
income
they're-
tax, let's keep doing the things we're
They're
doing.
all trying to
but-
take your guns. They're all trying to implement an income tax. It's not. What did they say? It was not an income tax. It's
It was
just,
only a tax on wages.
It's only a tax on wages.
But your wages
Carla.
are your income.
Oh, yes.
So, and and the thing that amazes me about that whole story is we have two case studies, one from Rhode Island and one from Connecticut. So we'll just tell the Connecticut one really quickly. What happened in Connecticut? They were like, "Ooh, our property taxes are getting really high because we have a spending problem, but we're not going to admit that. So what we'll do, we'll tell people we'll reduce their property taxes by introducing this minuscule income tax.
Just a wee
Just
little
a
bit,
tiny,
a little
teeny
bit.
one, and we'll put this down and it'll all be good." Spoiler alert. Yes. So what happened? Taxes went up, taxes went up, taxes went up. So now they have a
what happened?
property tax that's higher than it was originally. They have an income tax of almost 7%.
Nice.
And
So they
they
must be-
introduced, because then people were like, "Gee, I don't know. Maybe I'd like to keep my own money and spend it as I see fit." And so people were like, "You know what? We're getting robbed blind. We're not getting our money's worth. We're out of here." What if they introduced a wealth tax? So when people tried to leave Connecticut, a lot of those folks have actually come to New Hampshire and brought their wealth here. And we need to remember that we are becoming a refuge for economic strength, for
Yeah, but
people
the
who
thing
have
is-
money, who want to preserve their wealth.
So one of the posts that I put on Faceplant that has gotten more hostility, I think, than quite a few over the last few weeks, was I pointed out that people get really upset with quote-unquote free staters, right?
Yeah.
So I says, think about this for a second. You're really upset because people come here to fight for liberty, but you're totally okay with Democrats that flood over the border and want to implement an income tax and take your guns.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
How is that logical?
So I have two things to say about that. I'm like, find me someone who's a critic of the Free State Project, who isn't on the government dole,
Right.
okay, who isn't either working for the state directly or indirectly, or everyone else in their household is. Because I have yet to find someone who's just legitimately doesn't like us. Second of all, let's stop collectivizing, right? We're all individuals. That's the entire point
Right, right.
of everything, of life, right? Is we're all here, we're these self-empowered people, and we're just, trying to make the best while
Right.
we work together as collaboratively as we can, but, let's do it. So don't judge me by anyone else.
Right.
Judge me by me. So when I see
And
these
you're
things
pretty great,
now,
so that's easy. That's
mean,
why you want to do that.
I want to, well, the thing
You
is,
want to be judged individually because you're a really great person.
but I think
That's not
everyone
fair
in
to
life
the other
should,
people who suck.
Well, nobody. You're so funny. But everyone should be judged, because someone will say something and I'll be like, well, if I'm going to just suddenly collectivize, large groups, Republicans, Democrats, Libertarians, whoever, you can find something bad to say about any group, right?
Right.
So get over it. We're here. People should be glad. I saw some hit piece where they were like, these monsters. I mean, they didn't say monsters, but, that was the vibe.
That was what they want you to-
They were like, they believe in individual liberty.
Oh, no way!
And I was like,
Lord.
well, if you don't believe in liberty, like what do you believe in? Because then you actually believe in slavery and tyranny.
Well, hey, that's actually a really good point, because that's one of the things that's going on with the what do you call it? The critical race theory.
Yep.
A lot of Marxism and critical race theory is based on collective rights. All right. So one of the beauties, the most fundamental part of our Constitution, and it's in the Bill of Rights, we are individually endowed by our Creator with inalienable rights. So we are individually have certain rights and certain value individually. Marxism is a collective right. So if you have a collective right, taking away your rights is totally legitimate, because for the collective, it's important that you lose yours.
See, now I
So
find
most people don't get that, but that's that statement.
No,
that
and I think-
statement that something bad about individual rights is completely contrary to the Constitution of the founding of this country.
Yeah, and I think, I mean, the good news is people are waking up. I do feel like...
Is it too late?
I mean, honestly, for me personally, I think it might be too late nationally, but, I'm a smart, forward-thinking person, which is why I moved to New Hampshire, more than a dozen years ago, because almost 18 years ago when I signed up in 2003,
Yeah.
I knew everything that is happening now. I mean, it didn't actually predict the health play in the way that it actually turned out 2020. But everything else, I've been sort of very much on point. And so maybe it's too late nationally, but I don't think it's too late for New Hampshire. But then, you know what? We got to start to get serious. People have to come out. They have to vote down ticket. They have to support the people who support our rights. We are moving into authoritarian tyranny.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I mean,
Wait, can I ask you something? Is it a coincidence? This might be just a coincidence. Maybe I'm just a conspiracy theorist. But let's just hypothetically.
/ critical thinker.
No, cynical thinker. So, is it possible that the same government that is trying to position itself to be the leader of a one global world government is also the one that released a virus that put into play a worldwide response, global response? Is it possible there's a connection?
I mean, I do think so. I'm someone who, I hate the term conspiracy theory, because to me it's just a denigrating term that, very smart intelligence people came up with to just say you're not allowed to ask questions. I think we should ask all the questions, and we should look at, the responses worldwide. I mean, we do know that the intelligence agencies of at least the Five Eyes are all colluding, right? I think it's fair to say that with contact tracing for the COVID is a backdoor way to introduce the past 14 years of actual metadata tracing that we know based on Edward Snowden's disclosures,
Yep.
that we know they have been using metadata. They call it metadata, but it's enough information to fill in any story, and that they're now trying to find a legitimate reason where people will opt in so that, yes, we can have this sort of global control matrix.
I don't know that I'd go so far as to say that this was a planned virus or it was released intentionally.
Maybe they just got lucky?
We may find that in the future. Historically, we got to wait 20 years before, the real truth comes out. But what I do believe is that the response was planned.
Yes.
And I think the response was planned years ago.
Oh, I mean, we have proof of that.
I think we see that they're
So
okay.
they were just waiting for the right opportunity.
Let's see how, the H1N1 thing. Well, we don't want to really screw up Obama's presidency, so let's, hear the things that we plan to do, this news stories we plan to release, the type of propaganda we plan to do the next time, when we feel the time is right and we can get control of the people, right? It's a it's a planned response in order to enact further controls to do exactly what you said, to kind of what can we do to force the population into this contact tracing mentality.
Right. Well, that, and also, I mean, it actually pains me. I think what we've done over the past 8 months is actually criminal, because we've spent all this time fear mongering, right? So there's enough science out there now that we're starting to understand a lot about how brain science works and how different parts of your brain are stimulated, with different things, right?
Yeah.
So we know with big tech, they've built a lot of those things into their platforms now. You get the dopamine rush when you get the like, you get even more, your serotonin goes nuts when the loves come, like all that stuff. And all of that is being manufactured. So on top of that, what we did with this virus is we spent all this time literally terrifying an entire global populace. I mean, I think I said it last time I was on the show, and I'll say it again, and I will say it every time anyone will let me speak. If you are watching mainstream television, turn it off. It's garbage. It is bad for your mind. You're being manipulated.
Absolutely.
Watch these shows for crazy, goofy people like us.
I mean, even entertainment shows, you've got, what are they, The West Wing. There's another one.
It's all part of the same
Designated
propaganda.
Survivor, right? They try to show you both sides, but there's an underlying theme that the writers are putting in there that is very biased on one side.
Sorkin, he's a master.
They want you
Sorkin,
to sympathize with the
Sorkin.
protagonist in the show,
Right.
and the protagonist is always a progressive.
Yes.
Right, and they
The doofus is always
See,
the
but I
dad.
think to some extent, I mean, I do think what we're seeing with this response with big tech, where the censorship is
Unbelievable.
I mean, it's bananas. I actually saw a clip, a congressional hearing between Ted Cruz and a big tech guy who was testifying, who said that they swayed the votes last election by 2.6 million for Hillary. And then Ted Cruz was like, what are you saying? They influenced the elections through certain things on social media.
Oh, absolutely.
And the guy's like, yeah, absolutely. So that hearing
That was in 17.
was flagged as fake news on Facebook
Wow.
when I shared it 2
Wow.
or 3 weeks ago. And I was like, wow, like if we can't, that is so Orwellian.
It is profoundly Orwellian.
It's like sometimes now when I'm just interacting on social, like my jaw will drop. So the Biden story, have to say, I saw a really cute Trump campaign finance thing that had changed the B in the Biden logo to an H. So it said Hayden. What else is Sleepy Joe? And I was like, okay, that's a good one. Anything that'll make me laugh out loud.
What did they say? What was it? Lenin Trotsky they changed the Biden sign to Lenin and Trotsky?
Oh, did they?
Yes.
But I was watching a documentary today actually on the IRS too, right? So the scandal from 2012 through to 2017, it took actually 5 years for that one to be solved, where, it was just a good reminder. This was where the IRS was under Obama was targeting any conservative or Tea Party organization,
taking away all
right?
of their
Yeah.
tax-free status.
That was
Yeah.
one because on the here's one. You'll see this all the time on Facebook. Obama, no scandals, and then they go through the Trump scandals, which are all fabricated. So they leave that out, that he used the IRS to target Tea Party groups, right? It's completely gone. It's like scrubbed, and it doesn't get flagged as fake news.
No, I mean, it's pretty shocking, the level of, I would not have predicted even 2 years ago that we would be at this level of police state Orwellian censorship. The difference,
It's
though,
a
and
full
this is
court press.
the problem is, in Russia, everyone knew Prada was lying. Everyone knew it was the government mouthpiece. Everyone knew not to trust it. The problem is Americans have become incredibly trusting, and we are being fed garbage, and people aren't using their critical thinking skills to either switch it off and find the truth, which is fun because that's self-empowering. So you're actually discovering things for yourself and you make it more believable than someone just feeding it to you. But there's hardly any actual factual truth out there anymore.
I know that it is like you say, it's Orwellian. I just can't believe that it's this bad. Like when you have all the major news stations, Facebook, Twitter, all squelching stories.
So the NPR quote, did you
And-
guys see that on the Biden story? The NPR quote from the head of the newsroom of the national, I mean, NPR. Maybe
National
it is
Propaganda Radio.
Radio, right? But you know what? They
What was the
were
quote?
more.
Tell 'em
So
what-
the quote
Don't wanna
was,
waste your time.
we're not going to waste your time giving you stories that I can't remember the exact word, but it was basically like that is distracting. That was the word.
Distracting.
We are not going to give you stories that are a distraction.
So the story in a nutshell.
I'm pretty sure, Watergate could have been a distraction.
It was a distraction, absolutely. So the story in a nutshell is,
It's just
and we all
opposition
like
research.
like you said, Hunter Biden was making hundreds of thousands of dollars, if not millions of dollars, from overseas things. Joe Biden, when Burisma was being investigated, had the prosecutor fired. And who's that? I can't see.
Hey,
It's Matt
Matt.
Mayberry.
Oh, come on in. Come on in.
Well, here, take a picture.
Well, come on in. Sit down for a few minutes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I
Hi,
did
Carla.
that.
Hi.
Hi.
You're gonna win.
I think so.
So the
Sorry.
hi Matt.
Hi, Matt.
So anyway, the nutshell is, so Joe Biden, when his son was being investigated in Ukraine, had that prosecutor fired. They still said the media told you nothing to see here. Look away. Look, it's like the Wizard of Oz thing,
Right.
right?
There's no
And
one
so
behind the
There's
curtain.
no one behind the curtain. Hundreds of thousands of dollars are going to the Biden family, but we're not supposed to know about it. So then they found the laptop. The laptop came out. The laptop was given to the Federal Bureau of Investigation last December, and they did
nothing.
zero with it. And that had a lot of the communications between Biden and all these foreign entities, including China. So then it went absolutely nuts when Shifty Shift called it a Russian conspiracy. So the guy that was in those emails, the manager of that company, said, "You're not calling me a damn communist sympathizer," and came out recently and on Tucker Carlson last night and explained how those are all legitimate emails, and Biden was that person that was part of the group collecting all this money for influence peddling. And so this is a huge story. There's multiple corroborations of this story from different entities. This guy, what's his name? Boblinsky is actually a naval officer and is a Democrat, long-term Democrat. He just didn't want to be called a communist sympathizer. So you have all this corroborating evidence that Biden's on the take, and if he gets into office, those countries will own him. Okay, so that's what the story is. But NPR, like you said it's just a distraction. If that was Don Jr.'s son, Don Jr. laptop with that information, that would be on 24/7. You're being scammed. What do you think, Matt?
I agree with you.
See?
The Tower of Gary. There is no wrong answer. It's
I don't know
Gary
about
runs.
that.
I just
Have
came
you
back.
met Gary?
I just came back here to secure my sub co-host spot,
Right,
as
right,
we talked about last time,
right. Okay,
and
that's
to
right.
worship for Carla.
Who
She's
doesn't
great.
worship Carla?
Well,
I know, communists, socialists.
Oh yeah, that's true. That's true.
But some progressives like me too, But I think what the good part is, some of us can go there if you're actually promoting individual liberty. Everyone should be your friend.
Everybody
you're
should be.
literally just trying to help everyone have equal opportunity. And so, no one should be mad. I think also this whole dynamic where we're just like constantly pitting it, let's just get all the good people, that'd be all of us, of course.
Right.
In there, and let's go help
And that's who
Governor
you are.
Sununu.
That's your aura. That's your karma. It's what you put out into the world, and that's what you bring back in.
Yeah, so everyone's got to vote for me this time, man. I don't know.
I am not voting for you. I'm sorry.
I'm so hurt. I'm not in your district.
Right.
You're in my district.
You're in
No,
he
so I'm
can.
in- I'm
He
in-
can.
I'm in.
He's in
You
Goffstown.
are.
I'm in Goffstown.
You can. Ooh, so you and I should talk, and we should call at least 20 of your buddies.
Yes, at least 20.
Unfortunately, I don't have 20 buddies.
Especially after doing this show. He did have 20 buddies. And then, well, you know how it goes.
Well,
Yeah, no,
that's your
Manchester,
fault, not
mine. I
Goffstown.
know.
I mean, I think it's going to be an interesting election anyway, but I will tell you this. We were at a sine wave on Friday, and it's the first time that someone who came to the wave had a Trump flag. The change was bananas. It was
really?
remarkable.
Absolutely.
Every single car, we were up where the road comes in from Bedford, every single car except the three who weren't as friendly with the middle finger were honking. You know, it was a low stakes situation where, you know, you're not going to get egged, you're not going to get attacked or whatever. So there, you know, it just felt very natural, and people were really, really excited for Trump. So
Yeah.
So, we've only got a couple minutes. Jason, do you want to come on and give a pitch real quick?
all right, I'm going to let him go.
No, we need your picture, though. Matt, can you take our picture before you bail?
Live.
Yeah, we're live. It's all right.
you
we
can
got
sit
guests
here,
coming and
J-
going. Everybody wants to be on our show.
Yeah.
You move into the third chair, and I'll just.
Jason!
Seat. Hey guys.
Hi. How you doing?
Doing great.
You're running for something.
Yes, I'm running for state senate. For,
State senate.
District 16.
But
What's
not
your-
against Carla.
Not against
No,
Carla.
we're
You can't. We would.
complimentary.
No,
Yes.
we.
Should
You're
vote
very
for both of us.
compli-
She'll be right to the south. I'm slightly to the north, but yeah.
So what towns?
So Bow, Dunbarton, Hooksett, Candia, and Manchester wards 12, 1, and 2. It's basically all of North Manchester and then all the towns around to the north.
What deadbeat are you running against?
I'm running against a guy who I've heard is very nice, a gentleman named Kevin Kavanaugh, who's an
Oh
alderman here
yeah.
in
Okay.
Manchester.
Well, you got to beat him.
Yes.
Well, the thing is, we had so many anti-Second Amendment bills go through the legislature. Please don't vote for a Democrat. But
he's not he did
how
not do well on the
okay,
NRA
we only have
ranking.
we only have like 2 seconds. So Carla, how can people get in touch with you to get involved?
CarlaGericke.com or CarlaForNHSenate.com.
And on Faceplant.
And on Facebook, or call me 865-7140.
Jason, how can people get in touch with you?
Jason Syversen, so Syversen, jasonsyversen.com, or jsyversen.com, and then Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, on all those.
How do you
and,
spell that last name?
Syversen. Actually,
Okay.
I have a little.
He will have a
brochure I can put
T-shirt
that
in
up. Yeah, exactly. I
2022.
got a little brochure here too.
That's why I have one.
So on the Facebooks, on the Rock Paper Hand Grenades, just add the link to your.
Yeah, great idea.
Okay.
Any viewers can get it there.
And I think we're all done, right?
Yeah, we're out of
Is there
time.
anything else?
Sorry.
Wilson Hill Pistol Club.
Wilson Hill Pistol Club. Check our training schedule at wilsonhillpistol.org. Check our training schedule. I think there's an active shooter class this weekend, so that
An
one.
active shooter club.
Yeah,
Doesn't
it's
seem-
more of a-
that seems kind of dangerous.
Well, it's a legal class. So we do we
you
do
like
have a
it?
lot of
You
classes.
legally actively
No,
shoot.
no. It
I mean, is
talks
that like
about-
an
it
active
talks
shooter
about-
comes in
it
and you guys
talks-
got to duck?
No. Oh. You're making fun of bad situations. No,
Yes, that's
no,
what I
no. We
do.
talk about responsibilities and
what I've been doing
actions
for
to
an
be
hour.
taken and actions to be left for law enforcement.
Yeah.
Where to hide, where to run. Things like that. So we do teach active shooting classes, i.e. range classes, but we also teach a lot of law-based classes as well. Your responsibilities and how to avoid these situations and don't get into them in the first place. So,
Josh, thank you. Carla, Jason, thank you. Matt, thank you. And please pray for our country, pray for our president. We'll see you next week. Hopefully by then we'll know who's the next president, theoretically.
hopefully
guys.
it's a victory show.